All right, it's your boy Spank Dog, aka Puffinstein at YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You already know. Let's get into it. All right, so I haven't been live for a while. You know, last time I was live was when we won the second game. So, last time I did a live was when the Knicks were winning the Spurs series 2-1. And sometimes it's just crazy. Like, it's hard to time everything, handle things you gotta do, and still, you know, um get on live. But I wanted to get on and talk about the Knicks victory, after 53 years. But I have things I have to take care of. The social media ain't covering the bills like that. Hey, what's up, Bubbles? I just peeped you there. How you doing? God bless you and yours. You know. So but I wanted to get online so I could kick it with you guys and talk about how the Knicks won after 53 years. And let me highlight Bubbles' comment right there. Thank you too, man. God bless you and yours too. You already know what it is, Bubbles, man. I appreciate you more than I appreciate a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Yes, congratulations. That's definitely one we gotta highlight. I definitely appreciate your support more than a lot of people. And I mean, that's a weird statement. Appreciate and support is appreciate and support. But you were one of the first people that was there all the time, on some, well, at least more than others. So thanks. You know what I'm saying? So, but I got notes and everything. We're gonna get into the Knicks. We're gonna get into how Wemby's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't see it coming. For you guys got to know by now that I deal with the trading cards. So, when he came out, I got to make the decision whether to collect him or not. Now, every guy that I've seen his height come out, they always fold. They always snap in half. They always, they're too tall, too doofy. And that's not disrespect. That's saying that a man who's 7 feet 4 inches tall, or a man who's 7 feet 4 inches tall, they're like not graceful by nature. You know what I'm saying? So we finally get a 7'4" unicorn, a true one, because Wemby is serious. So, but when I first see him, I'm like, I'm thinking, of course, not even, there's been guys. Kevin Durant broke the mold. And then we've seen guys like Kristaps Porzingis, Yao Ming, and they were able to show super skills as guys that tall, because we're not talking about 7 feet 1. And Shaq was pretty graceful for a 7'3" individual, but he could not shoot the three. He couldn't dribble like that. We're talking about 7 feet tall guards, 7 foot tall guards. You know what I mean? So, when I seen Wemby, one of my concerns was whether he was weak or not. And if you look at him, he's shredded. So I didn't know. Like, one day they were doing a report, and you got to see if he was cut up or not, and he was super cut up. And I'm like, that's not regular. I'm like, that man at 7'4" could do 100 chin-ups, 1,000 push-ups. So I'm like, we might have something, because I knew he could play. I seen him play, but I didn't know if he was strong. But then when I seen how he was cut up like that, I'm like, we might have a problem on our hands in a good way. And then sure enough, he starts showing out. And it happens slowly, it's gradual. I never thought that we were gonna. I mean, like this is a crazy series. This is epic. Historically regarding the Knicks and the Spurs, and it unfolded as a David and Goliath story. You know what I'm saying? And it really became the underdogs versus the favored team. The guys that everybody thought were gonna win, and it didn't turn out that way. I call Jalen Brunson the pit bull. I'm coining that phrase right here, right now. You got to come with the receipt saying that, showing me that you called him the pit bull before your man Spank Dog. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Brunson, the pit bull. You know, he's a floor general. Listen, I couldn't believe a guy who ran around that much with the ball actually was the main option, the main reason for the success in a finals victory. It's insane. Yo, shout out to all my people on Facebook, man. There are other ones who show me support, and I finally got monetized through Facebook. I really honestly would have been monetized with YouTube, I believe, but I made two big boo-boos, and I've spoke about them in past videos. So if you wanna, it had to do with me erasing watch hours. But if you wanna, find out, check the other videos. Um, yeah, it was David and Goliath. Jalen Brunson, right? He runs around with the ball, right? Anytime I've seen that, I mean that much. I mean, he really ran around the court like it was a track. You lose the ball, you know. Now he played basketball perfection. Not only that, we were dominant. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get the notes up too because it's got a little notice. It's all good. Um, yeah, I got some notes. You know what I'm saying? Let me pull those up real quick. They're trying to take the Knicks to go to the White House. Yo, James Dolan's bugged out. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be careful too when you talk about certain people, but a lot of Knicks fans have a problem with James Dolan, and the reason I think it is because he seemed like he was a cheapskate, or when he decided to spend money, he was buying guys like Eddie Curry. He was buying guys like Amari Stoudemire. And Carmelo Anthony was the best one that we had throughout that stretch, like after Sprewell in Houston and Patrick Ewing. Kristaps was good, but I think they played on the same team. But anyway, Jalen Brunson is he might go down as the best Knick in NBA history, you know. And big shout to Walt Clyde Frazier. I know there was another Hall of Famer on the team that won it twice. I think we won it twice with Walt Frazier. And Walt Frazier probably is considered the best Knick ever. I didn't see those series, so I can't say like the storyline of the Walt Frazier finals. It could have been more epic than this. So I'll say that. I don't speculate that. There's no way the Walt Frazier finals weren't as dramatic and crazy as we dominated them. It's one of the few times that domination was so interesting because it was a 6-foot man as the first option, a 33rd pick. 32 teams passed up on him. And of course, that had to do with his height somewhat. against the number one pick in the draft, who happens to be 16 more inches taller than Jalen Brunson. And not only did we dominate, we won in San Antonio 3 times. You know, we didn't just win 4-1. We won 4-1, and 4 of the victories were in their hometown. You know, and I'm gonna tell you, everybody knows this. The true changing point in the whole series, I believe, was when Victor Wembanyama scored on Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson didn't do nothing dirty. He didn't do nothing that would warrant Victor Wembanyama saying anything trying to troll him, get in his head, talk crap, because basketball players talk to each other to get in each other's head. But you're 22 years old. He's very young. That was already, it was how could I say this? It increased the odds of him not winning, because the last person to win a ring that young was Magic Johnson as a number one option. And he did it as a rookie because he had to stay. It wasn't one and done back then. You had to stay at your college for a second. At least most guys did. So with that being said, right, Wembanyama scores on Mitchell Robinson, but he gets excited because I noticed this. The Mitchell Robinson defense was good on that play, real good. So Victor Wembanyama felt good about scoring. So when he scored, he had been feeling himself. They had just won the game before, and I think tied it up 1-1, something like that, or made it 2-1. I forget. But on that particular play, he was beyond feeling himself. He has a nasty attitude, And let me tell you something. I have a couple of his cards, so like a part of me don't want him to do stuff like that, because you kill your image, and it's doable. You get what I'm saying? Like Karl Malone has a bad image. I'm not gonna get into the whole thing with him neither. That's another story. But people don't in the collector's world. Karl Malone isn't desirable like that. And he was the second leading all-time scorer behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for a long time. So but with that being said, when he falls to the floor, matter of fact, he got Mitchell Robinson upset because he started doing the "I'm inside your mind" thing, right? So Mitchell Robinson, because he says it a couple of times. Mind you, Mitchell Robinson didn't earn it. It's not like Mitchell Robinson fouled him hard or they were talking crap to each other. Wembanyama just was feeling himself and decided to talk crap to Mitchell Robinson. He thought that he was dominating like that. And I'm going to tell you something. Since he's that good at that height, his height got to his head. And he thought, no way I could lose because I'm this good and I'm that tall. And then Mitchell Robinson lost his cool, threw him on the floor. Mitchell and Wembanyama proceeds to talk like, I got you guys, you're dead, like I'm coming, like I'm too big for you guys. And it collapsed. Even though the Knicks started I think they started every game going down, but they came back in every game. And of course, let's talk about the 29-point comeback. The 29-point comeback was the craziest thing ever. I'm gonna check the comments real quick. Anthony Edward Glazer. I think Miami lost in the trade. All right, cool. What do you think about the Miami trade? All right, there's something went down with Miami. There was a trade. Why did New Yorkers riot in the streets after that? I mean, DGAF. I can't speak for every New Yorker. You know what I'm saying? There's people out there that are gonna behave and be respectful, and there's gonna be people Cause let me highlight the question. DGAF says, why did New Yorkers riot in the streets after they won though? That's individuals. I'm not gonna act like New York don't have a certain vibe to it, like, you know what I'm saying? But if I would have been there, I wouldn't have been acting stupid. I would have actually been moving away from anybody acting rowdy. Now, most likely also those were people that were younger, because I can't right now at my age. I would say I definitely wouldn't have been acting any sort of anything. I would have been cheering, and but when I was 20 years old, 22 years old, I might have been doing shit I shouldn't have done, and maybe got arrested, all that, even younger. You got kids out there that are 16, 17 years old, 18 years old, and they don't look young, some of them. So you're over here thinking that grown men are acting crazy. Well, fact of the matter is certain young folks are gonna act up, and then like I said, it's individuals, um if you do percentages, most likely out of the 100% of the people in Manhattan around Madison Square Garden, I would say they were honing in on like 5 or 10% of the people, if that. But that don't speak. Remember, you can't. I'm not saying you did, but I'm just saying in general, you can't blanket a group that big because you got video footage of certain people acting up. And I'm gonna tell you something else too. I don't think they should have acted up because of this, but there's something called poetic justice. Now, Wemby has had a bad start with first impressions on the world as an NBA superstar. This is a dude that could be the face of the league, and then you act like a crab on multiple occasions. And mind you, I'm the same dude that seen when he was like directly after he was drafted or around the time he was drafted. Most people ain't watching him closely coming out of draft, but because you know I collect, I pay close attention. So when I seen his physique, I'm like, oh wow, he looks like he's super strong for a 7'4" man. Now in my head, I'm like, all right, he's strong. He plays like a guard. I was like, this is cool until I seen how he started acting. Then the first time you think it's not that deep. The second time you're like, what's that about? The third time you're like, yo, this is the third time I seen this dude act like a bozo. The money, his height, and the success, the being that good at basketball has gone to his head. If he could humble himself, he'd be the greatest basketball we've ever seen, maybe. If he could harness his anger into production, he could be the greatest player we've ever seen. I've never seen a guy that tall with that kind of form. This dude, right? Like he lets the ball go and he's got a good, sweet jump shot. He jumps in the air. He's 7'4". He can shoot over you without jumping. But he actually elevates when he shoots because he has good form. Now you got another 2 or 3 inches of jumper over you. Like he's impossible to guard. The one thing I'll say is the dribble. He got to be a little careful with the dribble. That ball takes a second to get to the ground. You know what I mean? But if he stays low to the ground, he looks like he can dribble real good too. The one thing I would say is that unless he starts to knock down 3-pointers at an incredible rate in practice or something, he shouldn't fall in love with the 3-pointer. In my opinion, Victor Wembanyama should take 2 or 3 3-pointers per game, unless they realize he's that good a shooter. You know what I'm saying? So, but look, we're gonna talk about the White House thing too. Give me 1 second though, because I wanted to go over some of the stats also. Let me check something else real quick. Oh, Matt Ritchie, I ain't see you real quick. Big shout out to Matt Ritchie. What the New York? Yeah. So, but as far as D Gal, um, what does it say? Is it DGAF? But to answer your question, yeah, people are individuals, and maybe it was group mentality. Maybe people rolled out from certain areas, young kids from blocks that are wild, and they just started acting up. And then you got people that are just mean by nature. You know what I'm saying? But don't think that that can't happen in other states. You know what I'm saying? Like there's other wild cities besides New York. Don't think you go to Memphis in the finals. Don't think if Memphis don't make the finals that it's not gonna be wild in Memphis. It's gonna be lit. And it might be, might have to be a little careful, especially wearing other teams' jerseys. You should be able to wear the opposing team's jersey. I agree. But I might not do it if I'm surrounded by a sea of people that don't like that team. Especially if when I'm with my lady, you know, regardless, you want to be able to feel free and do what you do. Wear your jewelry, wear your the opponent's jersey, but you got your lady there with you, or if you roll up out with your kids, I wouldn't wear it just on some. It's not that you're asking for it. It's just that that's the way the world is. Sometimes you can't go against the grain just because it's right. Sometimes you got to realize if you got loved ones with you, you know what I'm saying? And wearing the opponent's jersey shouldn't override your wife coming out of the game and the whole night. Okay, you know what I'm saying? See if there's anything else. Oh, all right. I just noticed the comment from Bubbles. I had sent cards to people. That's crazy. I think Bubbles is talking about the cards I sent out in the mail. There were certain people that were holding me down at the beginning, and I sent packages out to people. One person won the Kevin Durant, or two people. I sent out two Kevin Durants. I think I don't remember the names of the people that won them, but I sent out two Kevin Durant PSA 9 tops rookies graded, and to two winners, and then for people that had supported me, I sent out packages just for love. I was telling people that were, around the most, send me a address and I'll send you packages. And I think that's what Bubbles is referring to. But that's love. She already knows, like she been there from the beginning. So, but let me see something else real quick. What do you think about the Miami trade? Let me look that up real quick. What was the most recent big Miami trade? Oh, all right. Thank you very much. His comment gotta get highlighted. So real quick, Anthony Edward. Um, all right, I'm gonna highlight that. What do you think about the Miami trade? So this is big news for everybody. This came out of nowhere. I seen Giannis in a post earlier, but it didn't click. It said something about a trade, but because of what Anthony Edwards, what do you think of the Miami trade? I just looked it up. For people who don't know, the Miami Heat's most recent major trade is a massive blockbuster trade deal acquiring two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and forward Bobby Portis from the Milwaukee Bucks. Who did they give up? Oh, they got rid of Tyler Hero, I think. Yeah. Who is it on the Bucks? Did they get anybody in the draft? I don't know if they're building around somebody. It don't make sense unless they're just wiping out their roster. But this is big news right now. Right now, good looking out too, Anthony Edwards fan. Hold on 1 second too, real quick. All right. So the news is the Miami Heat's most recent major trade is a massive blockbuster deal acquiring two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. He finally left Milwaukee, and forward Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is good, a really good role player. He is. He's a really good role player. That's just how it is. Some dudes are just really good role players. Pardon me. All right. Where's that page at? All right, here it is. Players traded to the Bucks for Giannis. Tyler Herro from the Heat. Jaime Jaquez Jr. Kalel Ware, and Kasparis Yaku Chonis. That's a hard one to say. Kasparis Jakukonis. I believe that's Jakuchonis. I think that's how you say it. So Kasparis Jakuchonis, Kalel Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and Tyler Herro all get traded from the Heat to the Bucks in order to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis. They also get draft capital. Of course, the Bucks are the ones receiving this. They gave up Giannis. The Bucks also received the 13th pick in the 2026 NBA draft. That's not bad. Unprotected first round picks. Wow. They're thinking about the future. Unprotected first round picks in 2031, 2033, a 2030 pick swap, a 2033 second round pick. The 13th pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Yeah, I guess they're rebuilding. They cleared salary cap, so when free agents come along, they can sign one. But they gotta hope that the person wants to go to Milwaukee. This could have been, I think it's smart because Giannis didn't want to stay in Milwaukee. It's obvious, so it's better that you let him leave. He gave you the amount of years that he should have given you, and or not even should have. What people would consider, keeping it official with the team that brought you up. But it was time for it to end. And if these guys get a good free agent, I don't know what's going on with Damian Lillard too, because they got Damian Lillard to pair him with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then he tore his Achilles. So what's going on with Damian Lillard and his torn Achilles? Damian Lillard successfully underwent surgery for a torn left Achilles, suffered during the 2025 NBA Finals. Following his release by the Milwaukee Bucks, they released him. He rejoined the Portland Trail Blazers while actively rehabbing. All right, there's no more Damian Lillard on the Milwaukee Bucks neither. Damian Lillard is now back with his original team, the Portland Trail Blazers, and I think that's dope because if anybody's gonna show him love and treat him, the way he should be treated while he's trying to rehab that's considered the worst injury in the NBA. That's the injury that now, because of modern day medicine, Kevin Durant came back and he looked like it happened. This how bad this injury is that you can count Kevin Durant as one of the few success stories, but then other people tore their Achilles. We're just waiting to see if modern day medicine can make it where the Achilles can be fixed. Right now DeJounte Murray's going through it. Jason Tatum played some games um in the playoffs and in the last 16 games of regular season. But when Jaylen Brown needed him, he couldn't play. His legs started to act up. Now I don't know if that has to do with the torn Achilles or if it was just something else. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these guys, DeJounte Murray, Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard, this is like a new thing. We're gonna be watching stars who tore their Achilles to see if they could actually be anywhere near what they used to be. Because I don't want to see Damian Lillard disappear. I don't want to see DeJounte Murray disappear. I don't want to see Jason Tatum. He won a ring with Jaylen Brown. And let me tell you something. For anybody that has the nerve to call Jaylen Brown the number one option on the Boston Celtics, cut it out. All right, because I'm not gonna act like Jaylen Brown didn't shine in the playoffs. But up until the moment where Jaylen Brown did good in the playoffs, and then remember Tatum had to sit out the next year. So Jaylen Brown is underrated though, and he proved himself. He averaged 29 points per game finally. But while Jason Tatum was on the Celtics, Jason Tatum was always the guy averaging 28, 29, 30, and then he can put up rebounds and assists that Jaylen Brown can't. But Jaylen Brown did prove he could score high point per game numbers and even pass and rebound better than what was showing. He was, because he was second fiddle, second option. Yeah, not second fiddle, second option to Jason Tatum. But that doesn't matter. When you go on win the finals, whoever steps up, steps up. And I'm gonna tell you something, Jason Tatum fell back. When they were in the finals, the ring that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown got together, Jason Tatum fell back because he realized that his man was going nuts, and he let him take the reins without hate. So that's, when a team wins a ring, it's got to be cohesive. So, Jason Tatum could have easily got jealous, tried to be the man when he wasn't, and they could have lost. But he didn't care that it was Jaylen Brown that was shining. Jaylen Brown won Western Conference Finals MVP and Finals MVP. I don't think Jason Tatum cared. I think Jason Tatum's really about winning. And I got my fingers crossed that Jason Tatum comes back. Check these comments real quick. I think Miami lost in the trade. The old lady and I want to take the Amtrak to New York to see the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, you see, one of the things about NYC winning, and this is not me being gassed up or like people think people are NYC conceited. You know what I'm saying? What we are a popular city. That's everybody knows that. We're up there with Los Angeles, Chicago, and even like if you talk about countries across the world, I would think London and other cities in certain countries are real big time. But NYC is like really a major city, and when the Knicks won the championship, it made people think about New York. So I'm gonna highlight the comment that made me say that. This is my man Matt. You know what I'm saying? He's been supporting me from the beginning too. Big shout out to Matt Ritchie. You know, he said the old lady and I want to take an Amtrak to New York to see the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, New York is, New York got a lot of spots to check out. Like that's for sure. The one thing is you want to come in the summer. You don't want to roll up in December. And I'm gonna tell you something. For people that live in states that don't have snow, you're gonna like it. You know what I'm saying? If it's gonna be the first time you're gonna see snow, you're gonna like it for sure. You know what I'm saying? Snow is beautiful. It's just, it's cold. You ever touch snow? Yeah, they were saying something about LeBron James leaving to another team regarding what Bubble said. I thought LeBron James was going to Miami. A lot of things are gonna happen before the teams get back to start the season next year. You're gonna see a lot of faces on new teams. There's gonna be a lot of trades, I think, this year. Regarding Leo Arizona or Leo AZ rather, if I'm from the USA, yes, definitely from the USA, from New York, actually, to the point where I've never really been out of state. I've been to the neighboring states. I've been to Jersey, to go to Great Adventure or to visit a person. And is Jersey it? Wow. No, I've been to Pennsylvania before, Pennsylvania also, but that's it. I'm not a big traveling person. I kind of like NYC, like, like I'm kind of like so used to it. So with that being said, there's other things I want to talk to you guys about. We're gonna cover this sports thing though first. There's a lot of topics I want to cover. I haven't been on in a while, you know. So, but let me see something. I'm gonna share this with you guys. We're gonna see. Dolan, right? My thing is did Dolan ask everybody in the Knicks if they wanted to go to the White House? Because I know Josh Hart don't mess with the our president at the time. You get what I'm in the present. You know what I'm saying? Josh Hart is not a big fan of our president at the time, in the present, and nor am I. You guys got to know that. If you know the channel, and I'm okay with him taking them to. I mean, it's not like it's up to me anyway, but I'm okay with him taking to the Knicks if people signed on. But if like it's a forced thing, you know what I'm saying? James Dolan, man, you got a little bit to prove to the city that you have your team in, because to be honest with you, a lot of people still feel like he made cheap moves and got lucky. Jalen Brunson, he traded for Jalen Brunson. Now most people in New York were probably like, he's good. But, a guy his height hadn't won it as the first option since Stephen Curry. And then the real crazy thing is before Stephen Curry, I mean, if you want to say Chauncey Billups, but that was such a combined effort with Richard Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, that, but he was Mr. Big Shot. I believe he got finals MVP, and we'll include him. So Jalen Brunson won it, right? About a few years back, Stephen Curry won it with the guy that Draymond Green had gotten into the fight with Jordan Poole. Now we all know Steph won 4, so I'm not gonna say him over and over again. So it's Jalen Brunson, before Jalen Brunson, Stephen Curry. Before Stephen Curry, we're gonna throw Chauncey Billups in there. He deserves it. And then before that, Isaiah Thomas, and it's over. That's it. Then you probably got to go back to Nate Tiny Archibald, and I'm not even certain if he got a ring or not. You understand what I'm saying? I would think he got at least 1 ring, but in the history of the NBA, only 5 short players were not on the team were the first option. So Dolan went and got us a guy who the odds were against him, but probably because he didn't have to come out his pocket, he took him. He's underrated, and he took a chance. He did go out and get Karl Anthony Towns, but like people feel like James Dolan stumbled onto a championship, even though he's cheap or ends up buying recycled players, people that are on their way out. So let me share this real quick. This is the video about the Knicks going to the White House. Big shout out to TYT, TYT Sports, Rick Strom, and the whole crew over there.
Are you looking forward to the celebration at the White House?
As a matter of fact, thank you for asking me that.
Let me check how it looks. I might have to change yeah, that's what I was saying. Give me 1 second, people. There you go. That looks better. All right, cool. So let's check out the video about James Dolan taking the Knicks to the White House. I'm glad to be on with you guys, man. Like I said, my life is so crazy sometimes. I don't mean to bring up my son having special needs, but that's a part of, me being able to get on. And then also I have other work, the collectibles. I do make a salary off the collectibles, and I have to lock in on that also sometimes. So, but thank God I'm monetized on one platform finally.
Did receive an invitation
You did.
From the White House, which we accepted. We still have to figure out the details, etc. But yes, of course. I mean, look, I invited the president to come down for the game. Right, he is a friend. I've known him for 30 years, and I'm very proud to bring the team to the White House.
This is New York Knicks owner James Dolan.
Look at this dude. Oh, man.
He is a pal of Donald Trump and even married his wife at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate.
I've been watching the Knicks since Patrick Ewing, Kiki Vandeweghe, Trent Tucker. I really got into it when Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley, John Starks, the whole crew made it to the finals, and I believe that was the Rockets, and then after that it was the Tim Duncan Spurs, where Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, Marcus Camby, and the rest of the crew lost again to Texas. It's crazy that we played Texas 3 times in a row in the finals, but there's no way I sleep through this. If you're a real Knicks fan, you're not asleep at that time. I don't care if you broke night 5 days in a row.
And what do you know? He has said his team, the New York Knicks, have accepted Donald Trump's invitation. For the record, if and when the Knicks do attend the White House, they will become the first NBA championship team to visit Donald John Trump during either of his terms as president of the United States of America.
When a team is asked to go to the White House, especially an NBA team, the owner or the general manager has checked with the players, and for the most part, the players have said no. Knicks accept invitation to White House is not what happened. James Dolan, who is very close to Donald Trump and wants to have his businesses helped out by the White House and the federal government, accepted the invitation.
See, that's what I was wondering. I'm gonna talk to you guys real quick because, I try to do this professionally because, you're not supposed to do something you want to earn a salary with in an amateur way. You know what I'm saying? So I had took down some notes. Give me 1 second. Matter of fact, let me let that play real quick.
And it is the most, I'm being sincere about this, plantation owner I've seen since Donald Sterling. Truly, you're accepting invitation for your players, all but one of whom is black. You're accepting the invitation to the White House without checking with them, without checking with your coach, who happens to be a black man as well. You're not checking with any of them. You are accepting. You, the white owner of this team, is accepting an invitation. And you then expect, of course, your players to go because they work for you. They run your shop. And they, of course,
You know what it is? Yeah, the Knicks finally win a championship after 53 years, and James Dolan still finds a way to make himself a big part of the story. You know, I was looking for the things I had took down. I found them. Let me play the thing again.
of course, are going to adhere to the commands of owner.
Sports journalist and author Jeff Pearlman, well, he hated it. And you know what? It's not all that difficult to see why. For the players, the Knicks' role player, Josh Hart, would tweet, "Yes, sir. Get Trump's dumb blank out of the White House."
I was just going to mention that, you know, Josh Hart has publicly criticized Trump before. Carl Anthony Towns has publicly criticized Trump before also. You know, Mitchell Robinson has clarified he does not support Trump. And then the rest of them after that really don't have much to say or neutral type stuff. You know, we don't know if he got permission from all of them before he's accepted the offer, you know. And this is New York, man. You know, I know that, you know, people still like Trump in New York City, but, you know, we're a very free city. I'll just leave it at that, you know. Give me 1 second. Let me let that play again real quick.
After the Democrat Joe Biden defeated him in the 2020 election.
Josh Hart ain't going. He ain't going. There's no way in 2020 you can tweet, get Trump's dumbass out the White House, and then you backpedal better than Dion. Hold that up. Ain't no way you tweet that Josh Hart, and then now you gonna go. You have had a change of heart. And so at some point, you got to stand on what you stand on. I'd be shocked if Josh Hart attends. That will be shocking to me. There's no way that I tweet that and now I reverse course and say, oh, well, now that we've won a championship, I'm going to go ahead and go. Well, no.
That wouldn't be all from Josh Hart. Years prior, in Trump's first go-around, when the then POTUS and current POTUS went after LeBron James over and over again.
I know you probably think that Trump tweet coming at Bron. Do you have any remarks for that?
I mean, it's just childish. I mean, that's someone who literally just opened school in this past week, helping, you know, kids from the inner city, kids that, don't have, parents in their lives and that kind of thing. Someone who is a role model, obviously for, Americans, but definitely, young African Americans. So, to see that is just, it's childish, and that's a shame because that's our president. But I mean, hopefully, he'll be better. But it's childish.
Can I ask you?
I definitely agree with Josh Hart. And for people who are familiar with me, they definitely know that's not a shocker. Let me get past this commercial real quick.
How much do you spend on groceries per week?
Like $150, $200, $200, I think.
Like $350.
What should stand out to
Wanted to check the comments real quick.
everybody is the fact that Jim Dolan, Nepo baby, trust fund baby, much like Donald Trump, did not consult with his players. He is now trying to get.
See, I wasn't certain about that. I researched to see if I could find out if he even asked any of them before he accepted the offer from the White House to be invited to the White House or whatever. But I couldn't find the answer, so I wasn't gonna state that. But now it seems that we have our answer. Let me rewind that just a second. Matter of fact, just a little more this way. I don't gotta do it again.
Is the fact that Jim Dolan, Nepo baby, trust fund baby.
Wow, I didn't
much
know
like Donald Trump,
that.
did not consult with his players. He is now trying to get in front of even broaching that conversation, which he will not, by saying, no, we accept it.
Rick Strom is a real good dude. I don't know him personally, and when I don't know a person personally, I always keep in mind we are all people who make mistakes, and I mean every single one of us. So, I'm not saying that I know for a fact he's a saint. What I'm saying is, from the work he does and how he comes off, the things he stands for, just in totality, all the videos he's done, this man has earned my respect. And it's very hard for you to get that from me when I haven't encountered you in person. And not only for one day, encountered you in person many times. Like I said big shout out to TYT and the whole team. There's a group of them. You got Dr. Rashad Ritchie. You got the main dude, Jenk. I think that's how you say his last name. Anna, Rick Strom. There's others, a lot of others, that have separate shows and this and that. But for the most part, I rock with them like that. I really there's very few things that they say that I say nah, I don't agree with that, And yeah, just big shout out to him and his show.
We accepted, we're going. Okay. He is basically saying, I demand you to go with me to see my friend. That is what he's doing. I have a lot of thoughts on this. First, once more from Perlman.
You could rephrase it like that. It's not inaccurate.
And I've always been uncomfortable with the role of owners in sports, the way it's almost always a white man and it's majority black athletes calling that man Mr. Sterling, Mr. Buss, Mr. Dolan. Meanwhile, they're all first name. This is the Knicks did not say yes. Their owner said yes. And I truly hope the Knicks players, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, everyone on the Knicks, Karl Anthony Towns, on and on and on, say, no, we're not going. Because James Dolan doesn't have a choice in this. What's he going to do, fire them all? They just won the NBA championship. They actually have the power right now. So it's garbage. It's plantation level bullshit by a white man, a short little white man who got all his money from his daddy.
What we do know is that there will at least be one player in attendance, at least in my opinion. Senator Mitchell Robinson is reportedly a registered Republican and even told reporters, quote, it was cool, I guess, that Trump attended Game 3 at James Dolan's Madison Square Garden.
Now, listen, I'm not gonna jump on Mitchell Robinson because he's a Republican. That's his prerogative. That's his freedom. Do I agree with it? Of course not. But I still know that there's people out there that vote for the person that I don't vote for, and they're good people. And me and them could still connect. Real, recognize real. If you're a person who's a Republican, but you're a real person with a good heart and care about people, there's a good chance we'll connect. And politics will not matter. And we'll change each other's minds throughout discussions and dialogue that we have with each other, because there'll be things you'll say that will make me look at things and say, should I look at it differently? Does he have an absolute point? And vice versa. He'll hear me say things and be like, wow, like I never thought of it like that. You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at Mitchell Robinson. everybody knows that there's Republicans and Democrats out there. I don't do the whole this whole giant group is like this whole giant group is like that. It's even hard to label a small group. You can label a group of 3 people as evil, because there's a chance that's true. But when you start to go into the higher numbers, you cannot say 100% of the group is this and that, unless you've actually went through it with the whole 100%.
As Newsweek would write, not exactly. As The Cut would write, not exactly a ringing endorsement, but not a total rebuke either. And of course, there is a guy in New York media and a former NFL player who loves all this.
When does Jim Dolan tell his team that we're going down to visit my good friend Donald Trump in the White House?
Oh.
That's what I can't wait for. And hopefully they all go. Hopefully they go just like they're doing everything that they're doing here. I would love to see them be honored at the White House, given this is the 250th birthday of our great nation. Wouldn't it be wonderful to see the Knicks standing there with a huge Knicks fan who happens to be the president of the United States?
Listen, nothing could take away from what we did. Not Trump, not politics, not Jim Dolan. And then that's insane that you would throw him in there because he's the owner. You would think that you would have included him in the positivity of it, but that's not the case. He's been I don't know the man. Listen, I don't know. See, the thing is, like, Dolan hasn't done enough things in public for me to make a decision. I don't know him, honestly. He could be, he could sit with somebody and maybe explain away a lot of things. But when it comes to Trump, there's no explanation for me. I wouldn't say never, but yeah, there's pretty much nothing he can say to me that would make me understand the things that have took place. And I want to stay away from certain things during this. I've already addressed certain things that were a little risky for me, and with this, I want to lock in on the Knicks. We won. My hat is so beat up. I've had this for such a long time. I should have been got a new one. Let me highlight that. I seen that, Bubbles. Yeah. What's crazy is I said Knicks in 5, and then the way they would come out every game losing and then come back, I was like, oh, not Knicks in 5. A matter of fact, when we went down 29 points, I was like, no way Knicks in 5. But to a certain degree, because listen, your boy Spank Dog sat that whole thing out. I watched the Giants play. I'm a New York Giants fan. I'm a New York fan, period. It could be the Mets, the Yankees, the Brooklyn Nets, the Knicks, Jets, Giants. I'm on it like that. It's New York. But I'm really a Giants fan. I was a Giants fan all the way back when Phil Simms won the Giants Super Bowl for us in '86. That's around the time I really got into sports, around 9-10 years old. So I've seen the amazing Mets. I've seen the Bill Buckner ball go through the legs. I was literally in tears when Bill Buckner, when it looked like we were gonna get knocked out of the pennant, and there wasn't gonna be no World Series, and then the ball went through Bill Buckner's legs. And I'm like, oh, wow. And then they capitalized on it because, mind you, when the ball goes through Bill Buckner's legs, that's not the end of it. They got to keep going, and they keep creating the sparks. They end up getting out into the World Series, and we win the World Series. That's the first time I understood that sports is the kind of thing where you need to wait until the math doesn't equate to a loss. Like there's just not enough time left. But look at the way the game was, down 29. People thought it was out of reach. I didn't. I just knew we were in a really bad way right there. You know what I'm saying? And Then when we're playing, I forgot who we played when we won. Oh, it was the Patriots. Oh man, we're the Patriot killers to the Giants. You know, we're playing the Patriots. They're undefeated for the season. I think they haven't lost in a Super Bowl yet neither. And it looks like we're through. And Eli Manning rolls. He gets out the pocket. The guys are grabbing on his shoestrings. You think he's gonna go down. He gets his balance, fires, and then I forget the guy's name. And forgive me for this, but he catches the ball against his helmet. Tyree. Was it David Tyree? Don't quote me on that. He catches the ball against his helmet, and we go on to win another miracle one. And I've seen other ones where I'm rooting for the guy. Oh, all right. So look, I got the Bill Buckner one, right? I got the Eli Manning rolling out the pocket. This is how I know. Don't stop watching. And you know, I don't just root for New York City. I root for individual players also. I've had 4 favorite players in my life. I've said this before. Allen Iverson, Patrick Ewing was my first favorite player because I started the NBA with the Knicks, and I'm ending with the Knicks. I've always been with the Knicks, but I started to understand that you don't have to have a Knick as your favorite player. So Patrick Ewing was my first favorite player. When he started to get older, I became an Allen Iverson fan. After Allen Iverson started to get old, I said, there's something about LeBron. So I was at the Madison Square Garden game where he dropped 50 on us, you know, and for me, it was a sort of a win-win, even though I don't like my Knicks losing to anybody. But if anybody was going to whoop on my Knicks while I was live and in person, you know, my favorite player, and then 50 plus points at the Garden, you know. So, but then that's not the point I was going to make with another team doing a miracle. See, I'm rooting for LeBron his whole career unless he runs into New York. So, but LeBron never ran into New York except for like once or twice in the playoffs, and it was in the early rounds, like first round, he knocked out the Knicks. So, but I watched LeBron through thick and thin like he was a New York City team. So I was there watching it when the Warriors put him down 3-1, and nobody had come back from a 3-1 deficit in finals history. It was like 3-0 in baseball. You know, 3-0 still hasn't been done in the NBA, not even in the first round. That's how hard that is to do because basketball is a controlled sport. There's 5 players only, as opposed to 20 or 30 in football, and in baseball, it's like 10 people versus 10 people. This is a 5-on-5 thing. So nobody had been able to come back from a 3-1 deficit, and LeBron went to town with Kyrie Irving, you know, and something that was supposed to be 0% chance. It was 100% of the teams had won when in that position. LeBron broke that. You know, that's why people got to think about LeBron. Like, he's not just the guy who went to 10 championships and lost 6 of them. That don't explain it away. You get me? So, but you know, let's watch the rest of this because I wanted to finish this one out.
Republican.
Yeah. Well, you go out of respect to the office is why you go.
But you know what I mean. Yes, of course. I understand.
Yeah,
that.
everybody can get over the political nature of all of this. You have a legitimate Knicks fan sitting in the White House who actually came to a game.
Yeah.
And the first sitting president.
Are you serious right now? Did I hear him right?
Ever to go to a NBA championship game, which is to me is amazing in its own right. So you may not like it. I don't really care if you do or you don't.
Here's where I stand on this, okay? If you were to watch the parade when they had the speeches, Zoran Mamdani spoke of, you know, how great all of this stuff is. And
I'm not going to say Wemby deserved the egg to the head because he didn't. Do I think it knocked some sense into him? I think so. You know, like I said, you know, things happen for a reason. Do I think that happened for a reason? I have no clue. I just know that he was acting like a really bad role model for a 22-year-old superstar, and then he got hit with the egg. Do I frown upon the person violating him like that? Yeah. But do I think it might have been something where he might reflect on everything that happened? Yeah. And with that being said, let's keep going.
New York Knicks legends in attendance and some of the best moments in franchise history. And then you had James Dolan go up there and basically shade him for no reason at all. Well, it's because James Dolan is a huge supporter of Trumpism. He is a huge supporter of MAGA politics, and he hates Zoran Mamdani.
I'm going to tell you something. If I remember correctly, Donald Trump cut funding for a lot of things and then lowered the taxes for the rich and utilized that money to give them the extra money in tax. Now, I'm not gonna say I know that 100% for sure, but that's what, when he first came into the office, that's a big thing, as far as like people were saying this is a horrible way to start. The government shut down, and there was a lot of things going on. I believe veterans weren't receiving their checks for a second, and this is a lot of stuff, and it's just I'm just not a fan of his, and but I don't want to sway anybody. If you don't realize certain things or you don't feel a certain way about something, I'll say what I say, but that's on you whether you believe that the things I say are true to the point where it'll make you think about whether you got it right or not. I'm just here trying to be positive and talk about things that interest people, have a good time. And the Knicks brought something special to this. I had been meaning to come and talk to do a live about the Knicks for a minute, but like I said, it just wasn't permitted. But let's keep going. Yeah.
I believe James Dolan is a racist. I do. But I think the images of Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and many others dapping up the mayor because his politics are good and pure is a reason why Dolan is forcing his players' hands. And it's
I like Mamdani. I voted for Mamdani. The crazy thing is that I registered to vote for the first time in my life, and they sent me a message. Even though I went through the whole thing, I even did the back of the form for the housing, because housing is a big thing in NYC right now. People can't afford their rents. There's a lot of things going on in NYC as far as affordability and housing. So I voted for Mamdani, and then I filled out the back the the stuff for the housing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying that I've never voted for a president. I never voted for a governor. I never voted for a mayor. My first vote for a big political figure or any vote regarding government was the time I voted for Mamdani. They sent me a letter and said the registration, they scrambled it or something like that, and that the vote didn't count, but that on the next vote it would count. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is that now that I vote and Mamdani is the person I voted for, something happened. They didn't even say I didn't get in time. They said my registration was valid. It's just something happened where the vote didn't get there in time, or they couldn't process it. So but knowing that I rooted for him, I voted for him, it would crush me if he got caught up in some sort of scandal or some stuff. So all I'm saying is when you vote for somebody and they reveal that they did things that were corrupt or bad, that's why people don't want to tell the truth about the person they voted for, because they back somebody who was no good, And people, when they can't accept the truth, they rationalize. You know, that's no good. You know, that's what being real is about. That's why people talk about your heart and ethics, because it's hard for you to admit you were wrong. You know, with that being said,
Perlman said, you don't have to go. You just won the championship. Out of anything, James Dolan and his reputation is only improving a little because his team won the championship, and the reports are stating he was too distracted by building the sphere. That is why he wasn't as hands-on as in years past, and why Leon Rose and many others constructed the roster they did to win and hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And Boomer Esiason saying all this stuff about, oh, it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat mayor, a socialist mayor, a Republican mayor. You know, we shouldn't play politics. They should.
all right, I'm gonna stop it here, people. I didn't agree with Boomer Esiason either. I don't watch his show often, so I'm not really gonna comment on it, like what Boomer Esiason, if like I like him or agree with him. Just in that point right there, I don't agree with him. We're gonna move on to the next video now. You like my background, my layout? I created it myself. Let me see if I could yeah, that gives you a better look. I love it. It came out so perfect. You know, the Basement Click logo is on the top right, but other than that, that's the full-blown layout right there. I created it. You know, it takes a second sometimes to get it right. But with that being said, I wanted to see if there was anything else I wanted to mention about the Knicks. Oh, the blown hard by Josh Hart. I wanted to talk about a couple of parts in the series. Oh, the turnovers by Stephon Castle. There were certain points in the series where I wanted to just talk about real quick. You know, and like I said, anybody could drop a comment. It's hard to do commentary and then handle the comments simultaneously. So what I try to do is like do a couple of minutes of commentary and then head back to the comments. So don't think if you leave a comment I won't check it out. I'm checking out comments, you know, during this live. So drop comments. Say what you got to say. It would help me, you know, have things to talk about. Even like reflect on if I forgot, like you bring up a certain point during the series that I forgot. All right, yeah. So I took some notes. So I wrote Knicks finally get to stand on business. You know, people were such diehard Knicks fans that we would grasp at straws. Any good thing that happened to the New York Knicks, we'd be like this and that, but this is solid. It don't get the way Jalen Brunson took over, you know, the way he wasn't scared to keep firing, and the way his team flocked around him. You know, Karl Anthony Towns is a great teammate. You know, people forget sometimes it's hard to resist shooting. Go check out Karl Anthony Towns stats for the series. He didn't score a lot of points, but I'll tell you this much: he didn't have a bad field goal percentage neither. That's a man that recognized he wasn't hot and let other people live. And that's what you got to do when you're a great player and you realize you're cold. Either you could be a great player and realize you're cold and shoot like a maniac and go 2 for 29, or you could go 3 for 10 and let you check to see if there's somebody on the team you could find that's hot, you know, and let them get their game, because there's certain days where people are just, it's their day. And if you can locate that person, that's a beautiful thing. Karl Anthony Towns is underrated, supremely underrated. Jalen Brunson, stole the spotlight. Like, I'm not saying people are silly for locking in on Jalen Brunson, but what I'm saying is the spotlight was stolen somewhat, and people aren't realizing the Knicks became a really serious playoff team when they got Cat. And I know a lot of people would talk crap about the Minnesota days and all that. Man, listen, forget about that. The kid is a ring winner. And you got to understand this too. He was the number one option before Brunson got there. I believe Brunson got there after Towns. He relinquished first option and let Jalen Brunson take over and did everything he could in his power to make sure that Brunson had the ball at the right time and he wasn't a hog and wasn't in his feelings that he wasn't no longer the first option, And y'all might want to say that he didn't do that in Minnesota, but maybe he grew up, and he's a champion. And I think it needs to be noted that even though he didn't score a lot, I believe he hung around 49% for the series field goal percentage, and that's fantastic, especially for a big man who shoots 3-pointers. And what people don't understand is that not only was he the number one pick, I think he won Rookie of the Year. He's a multi-time All-Star. He's been on an NBA first team or second team or third team, whatever. But he's had seasons also where he averaged 25 points per game, but he's somebody that should be recognized more. That's what I was gonna say. Also, he's one of the greatest shooting big men ever. Karl-Anthony Towns shoots about 40% from the 3-point line over his career. That's insane. That's insane that there's a 7-footer out there shooting 40% from 3-point land. Not for a season, for his whole career. It's like 39%. Karl-Anthony Towns is an amazing player and should get more acknowledgement. All right. Oh, yeah, I said the Knicks would win in 5. I did, literally. Matter of fact, my man Tone, he came to the crib when they were up 2-1. And I think they were headed to San Antonio. And he said Knicks in 6. And I told him, I said, I think it's going to be Knicks in 5. I said, being up 2-1 and they're already won in San Antonio, I think they're just going to take 2 in a row. And it's going to be Knicks in 5. I think they've already proved they're more stronger than them. And then, it came true. And like I said, too, if it would have went to 7, it would have been fine. But I got it right, and when people make a prediction and they get it right, you got to gloat a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing right now. One of the best things about the series was the back and forth of it. The whole Knicks going down every game and fighting to come back. That added like an element, like an aspect that it made the series one of the greatest series ever. Let me run through this real quick. I'm going to go on to the next video. "16 wins and only 3 losses. The Knicks went in the playoffs. That's amazing. I think it's high up there as far as like winning percentage. And it might have, they said something about a record for the amount of games played or something like that, but I don't know if they were able to do it. Oh, and the 4-1. Look, let me tell you something. I don't care if we were behind every game. The 4-1 victory, the series ended 4-1. That's dominance. We dominated them. That's it. They didn't even get a second game. And I'm gonna tell you something. That was Wemby's thinking, I'm the biggest guy, and I play like a guard, and I'm gonna be able. He had dunks. He can jump. That's really scary when a guy who could dunk on his tippy toes can jump. like get up. Like when he gets momentum and he takes off, he can really rise, you know. And all of that stuff got to his head. That moment when he did this, yo, it got me so mad. But you know, I'm a Knicks fan, so I was extra mad. You know what I mean? But when he did that, he messed himself up more than he understood. Yeah, Jalen Brunson is something special. He don't got to win another ring ever in his life. In the fashion that he won that after a 53-year drought, David and Goliath, 33rd pick versus first pick. The big guy's talking crap to the little guy, like almost like bullyish. And my man, who coined the phrase, Jalen the Pitbull Brunson, you know, let him know that David and Goliath is a real thing. You know, he literally, I'm still in awe of what happened. Jalen Brunson, 45 in the closeout game. That's so crazy. Jalen Brunson, 6'1". The listing I found was 6'1". 45 in the closeout game, 14 for 27 from the field. He hit more than half his shots in the most important game of the year in his life. You know, the Villanova 3-2, that's Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson. You know, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you know, all three of them didn't only play on Villanova together. They won a national title. National titles are hard to win. You're competing against 300 teams plus. You know, you go into a 64-team tournament that you can't even lose one game. You know, and Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson were part of that national title. They went through it's the 64, the 32, the 16, Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final 4, and the championship game. They won 6 games in a row to win the national title amongst 300 plus teams. You know, listen, man, I'm gonna check real quick if the OG Anunoby tip. You know what I'm saying? I almost forgot the OG Anunoby tipping, man. You know, the Josh Hart blown layup. There was a couple of things that happened against the Spurs that were like, oh wow. I think Dylan Harper blew a layup. There was a steal right after Josh Hart made the mistake. He thought he was gonna be able to dunk that, Josh Hart. And when he realized he wasn't gonna be able to dunk it, I think he even thought about the Patrick Ewing finger roll. The big thing with the Patrick Ewing finger roll was the he should have dunked it. So I think he went up strong, like I'm gonna dunk this. And then he said, oh man, I don't got enough lift off. And he tried to, instead of flip it to a finger roll, he tried to but it didn't work. You know, OG hit 7 threes. In the game 6, OG went nuts. You know, 31 points, I believe he had in that game. I don't remember the closeout game. And I hope I'm not getting them confused. You know? So, but with that being said, we're going to go on to the next topic. Give me 1 second to pull it up, people. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to stay on for a while. I already spoke with my lady. I'm on some I'm gonna try to do some marathon type stuff, and I want to see how long I can stay on for because I got some work to do. After I do this live, I got a commentary, an edited one coming your way. It's a good one. You know, recently I did the one about Geraldo Rivera talking crap about Adam Makler. And then I did another one about Gilbert Arenas' the show that they got. He got mad at Josiah, and that one turned out real good. So I got another one of those dropping. And I do a series called Souls of Sports. It's a real series, man. Check out the Bread Maker, the song I made the other day. That's a real deep song, man. So I do a series called Souls of Sports, and it has 16 installments. Well, I'm gonna make the 17th installment about Kobe Bryant, and I'm already starting it. I should be done with that quick also. So I got a lot of work coming this way, and I'm not trying to stop after this. I'm trying to dive in and work like a maniac. So give me 1 second. Go to my history. Yeah, because I put one or two things because I cover a multiple, I cover multiple categories. I do try to like focus it on hip hop and sports, you know, but like I'll talk about politics, I'll talk about true crime also. All right. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. I wanted to cover the self-talk with Nick Young. Let's see what this is. I didn't I didn't get a chance to watch this, so I'm gonna watch it for the first time with you guys. All right, give me 1 second. Got this. I got this. I got this. I got this. I got this. Oh, I gotta pick something better to share the screen. Let's go back to this real quick. And yeah, let's share the Nick Young screen. Gil's Arena. I like watching Gil's Arena. My man Self Talk. He be covering it sometimes. We've actually talked in the comment section before. But yeah, I like his style and the channel. So we gonna cover Gil's Arena right now. Big shout out to Self Talk. Yeah, there we go. I like Nick Young. You know what I'm saying? When I used to watch Gil's Arena, right, he looked like one of the dudes that wouldn't stress nonsense. It would take like a lot to get him riled up for real. Like he might be annoyed, but he would never come out his face to people. And I like that. I think Nick Young understands respect, at least like how you talk to people matters. So with that being said, let's check this out because they're saying he's not on Gil's Arena no more, and hold on 1 second. I wanted to see something. It says, I'm done. Nick Young ends relationship with Gilbert. Said don't call over new Gil's Arena show. So that pretty much says that Gilbert and Nick ended their friendship, and Gil tells him don't call when the new show starts. So here we go, y'all.
It's over, man. It is over. Hey, man. Hey, they told me I can't answer your phone calls no more, Gilbert. Hey, if you're trying to get in contact with me, hey, it's business, man. They said you can't call me no more, man. So look, if you're trying to call me, email me.
Nick Young is done with Gilbert Arenas, man. After Gilbert Arenas came out,
these are all $1 million players. So like when they talk about business and agents and stuff, they're not joking. There's people out there that talk about business and they never handle business in their life. But these dudes, even whether they're not caking it big time no more, whatever, they have been through the ropes regarding big money, lawyers, and so on and so forth.
And made a video saying that he's gonna start a new show with.
Big shout out to the homie Self Talk. Let me make sure I hit him with a like real quick.
Out Nick Young, Rashad McCants, Kenyon Martin, and Skip Bayless and Josiah because he now has the formula to start a new show.
Let's hold the channel, not the show. There's a channel. I think
I think Gilbert Arenas made money, and I think the reason the show is not called Gil's Arena no more is because it was worth it. If all that was gonna happen was gonna be the title of the show was gonna be changed, and he was able to sell that channel and create a new channel with the arena and still get as many viewers and as much money, maybe more money, because people understood how good the show was doing.
I think people usually purposely not hear. I think I said this like a couple months ago that my contract is up this year, and then after my contract's up, I will own the name of my show. I thought I said that, and I think they purposely, nobody wanted to listen.
About Gil, like sometimes, you know, I think he comes off cool, but then he says stuff that makes me wonder if, you know, if he's grimy or not. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't get the same vibe from other people that I do from Gil. Gil comes off a little bit like I don't know if I would trust him, put it like that.
I did 50-50 ownerships to get the foundation because I had no idea what it took to run shows. So now I understand how to run shows. So I don't need, to do 50-50s no more. That's it. Michael Jackson.
I don't think he's wrong about what he's saying. I think when you're doing a show that grows to the degree of their show, you're gonna need help, and you're gonna need people that know the ropes. Not all the time. There are people out there that are so ambitious that they would have made it work, and more put more work on their own back so they can have more ownership. But I think he's right about people don't understand what it takes to make a serious show with a network.
All right, I'm not gonna say it again. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Michael Jackson. Okay, that's it. That's all I can give you. Thriller's coming. Shut up already. Okay.
If you're so profitable, why do you sell a course? Well, you know what? Here you go. I don't care. It's all free. I'm giving it away. We have like 6 different courses in here. The same strategies that made me a full-time trader. And we have like 20.
So we all know Gilbert Arenas.
Let me check something real quick. I'm check the comments. Thank you, Bubbles. I appreciate that. All right, cool.
Has been sending Underdog Fantasy warnings about this situation. So Gilbert Arenas revealed his new show live on his YouTube channel, man, and that has everybody talking about the situation right now.
Hey, just email me from now on, brother. They said anybody that answers your phone call, they ass is through. I said through as in the what? Done?
They both crazy. Like, we got a saying out here, especially where I'm at, you know what I mean? Like, we say he's burnt to a crisp, meaning like he's burnt, like, I guess you could compare it to baked. So like, just saying he has a real far out sense of humor, like he's one of them dudes like always joking and stuff, and he's funny, and even though Gil is funny, Nick Young is burnt to a crisp. You get me? Like he's funny. You know, I find him very entertaining and funny, and I like that he don't be taking stuff so serious where it makes him talk tough and all that. Like too many people be talking tough, you know what I'm saying? And he keeps it simple.
For today, no, they done for. I said, who is Gilbert? Who the fuck is Gilbert? Sellout brothers on the next Jerry Springer. Sellout brothers on the next Jerry Springer show. And I for sure sold out. Oh man, I sold all the way out. Hey, I was like, fuck Gilbert. I stopped the nigga at the door. He tried to come in his own house while I was recording. I said, hey, this is a place of business. Don't bring that gun shit over. All right, I'm gonna stop. Hey, but email me though, man. If you been, I gotta screen your calls because I gotta let them know we ain't friends no more.
Said I gotta let them know we ain't friends.
The kids like, where Uncle Gil? I said, hey, nigga, there ain't no Uncle Gil no more. You fucking up the money, nice, Nick. Say who is that next time you say. Hey, Gil. That nigga Gil was like, all right, well, I'm out of here then. Come on, Nick. I look like, come on, Nick. What the fuck? That nigga Gil said, all right, if I'm done, all right, we out this bitch. Come on, Nick, let's go. We gonna start our own shit. I said, wait, what the fuck? Come on, Nick. They looked at me. I said, 360 started acting like I didn't know what was going on. I started, hey, you know when a nigga look in the phone acting for nothing, I just started looking on my phone. He said, come on, Nick. I said, all right, I'll meet you outside. In fact, I'll be right there. Let me use the bathroom. That nigga went out the door. I locked the door behind him. Said, all right, man, I gotta get this money. I locked the nigga out his own door. Hey, that was the coldest shit in his house. That nigga was trying to go upstairs. I said, nah, you can't come in here.
You can't come in here.
Hey. That's the coldest shit when a nigga be like, all right, man, I'm done. If you ain't gonna take me, I'm out of this bitch. Nick, let's go. Be out this bitch. Me and Nick done. I'm sitting down like, done. I got 4 kids. All right, let's go then, Gil.
He said, I got 4 kids. Yeah, I told you he was burned to a crisp. I hadn't even seen this yet. This is the first time I'm seeing it. And, you know, he's not letting me down. Especially after I told everybody he's burnt. Well, he's showing and proving.
Push the nigga out his own door, lock that bitch behind him. I said, hey, just keep filming. Come on. He outside. All right. Sellout brothers on the next Jerry Springer show. Oh man. Oh, this is the funniest shit, boy. Hey, but don't y'all. I'm just playing though. I'm really playing, y'all. Don't take what I'm saying serious. Don't take what I'm saying, because Gil likely to come over here and do something to me. But don't hop the fence. Because they said you're supposed to be 100 feet away from me. They said if he catch any of you niggas in the vicinity of Gilbert Arenas, your ass is a zoo. I said, what's the percentage? They said 100. About 100. If Gil anyway 100 feet by y'all, your ass is fired too. I said, fired. So Gil, 100 feet, I measured it. I can meet you.
Oh man.
I'm gonna drop a walkie-talkie at the gate, and you could talk, you know, or hit the intercom.
He's freestyling too. I don't think he prepared this. He said walkie-talkies. He said you can't come within 100 feet of me. We're gonna use walkie-talkies.
My name at the gate, because I already told security don't let you through. All right. I got it. All right. Gil would have did the same thing to me. Gil would have did the same thing to me. He would have made a joke out of this shit too. Don't feel sorry for him. Don't y'all feel sorry for Gilbert. He got some money now. He always got a plan. He always get fired. I hope y'all look in the beginning when he started looking like Patrick Beverly, you know, the liquor store, he started looking at the beard and fucked up haircut and all that shit.
Oh man.
That's when Gil was done in. The beginning of the season. He was done in. When Gil started looking like a nigga that need change on the corner, he looked like the nigga that talked to himself. The same thing happened when he wore number 9 with the Wizards. I want y'all to get a side-by-side picture of number 9 Wizards and the start of this season Gil. That when he was on the Wizards and he wore number 9, he's like, I'm out of here. I can't wait to get traded. He's like, nigga, I'm getting traded. That was after all the shit, right? So, you know, same thing happened here. Hey, when he wore that look, it was over. But this shit hit me off guard because I was in China, y'all. I was in China. I wasn't here. I was in China, y'all. And I was hearing little rumblings of what's going on. I was out there doing my ching chong thing. Came back. I seen Gil came again in his own house. That nigga Gil was knocking on his own door. He said, baby, let me in. And then they kicked his wife out. She tried to let him.
All right, now he's bugging out. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Let's see if he's saying anything now.
Whew, boy, this nigga house. I mean, our house is nice, Gil. I didn't know that nigga love me. Then we need the van. So I'm gonna clear some things up.
I'm gonna get to the part where he wraps it up, see what he says.
Hey man, my kids gotta eat, man. Sell out, brothers. And I'm selling out.
He lost me after. He lost me after a minute of joking. You know what I'm saying? Like it was funny at the beginning, but then like I don't even know what he's trying to like say because it's in-house stuff. So like they know stuff you don't know. So unless he like really breaks it down, you're not gonna really understand the little jokes and clues and hints he's throwing at you. You know what I'm saying? So, let me highlight this. You can say that again. All right. Thanks a lot for the support, Bubbles. So, all right. There was one more. See, like, I'm gonna keep it sports themed because I was gonna tackle topics that have to do with other stuff, like, you know, society and other things, and I've learned to try to at least keep the video on the same topic. So we're gonna stick with sports. There's another video of Rashad McCants saying he could drop 81 like Kobe easily, and I don't know if he meant all the time, whatever, but you know it triggers something that's real funny. So I'm gonna share it with y'all, and then we're gonna wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? This is a good one though. This is not like the Nick Young one took me a little by surprise because he was killing it, but then like I said, it got a little weird. Like, what's he talking about? You know, he knows what he's talking about, but I didn't. So that's why I fast forwarded. Now we're gonna go to the next one. This one should be a little more understandable.
because you lying. So if niggas lying on my name just to get clicks on Out the Mud, y'all ain't gonna reach that Kobe 81 numbers without me back on that show, my nigga. Y'all gotta start figuring out what the algorithm is.
Just like this. Just say, he think he all that. No, nigga, you think I'm all that. I don't think you do. You see what I don't. I don't get to see me walk around. That's confidence. You hate it. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Okay, so in today's video, we got to talk about Rashad McCants, man. And he had called out Tony Allen for speaking on him about this out
Thank
the
you for
mud
pointing
viral
that
clip
out, man.
situation. I'm pretty sure
That's
a lot
a
of you
big.
guys know the clip that I'm talking about. Let's roll the clip that went viral of Rashad McCants on.
All right, real quick, what I said too. Let me see who pointed that out to me. Yo, Matt Ritchie, good save right there, brother. I had muted it for a second because my son came in the room and I forgot to unmute it. Good looking with the save. Thank you very much, brother. We highlighting those real quick. That's a big time save right there, Matt. Because I was talking for a second, and then you helped me catch it so quick that I could even tell the people what I said that they missed. What I was saying is that Rashad McCants comes off as a person who kind of lives in like a fantasy world, and he says stuff that, you know, some people wouldn't want to even say nothing. They don't want, people are non-confrontational, but he had said that he could drop 81 points like Kobe Bryant easily in an NBA game. And he went on a podcast called, you know, it's by the ex Memphis Grizzly player Tony Allen. He was known as a great defender, and he could fly. He was a high flyer. But now that he's retired, he got a show called Out the Mud Podcast. Rashad McCants went on Out the Mud Podcast, said some of that crazy fantasy land shit, and they got him. You know what I mean? Without even meaning to. You're gonna see Tony Allen's reaction when he says the 81 point thing about Kobe Bryant, how it's easy for him. And that's pretty much what I said when I was on mute. So for anybody who seen that I was muted for a second, now you know what I was saying. Thanks to my homeboy Matt Ritchie. You're the man, Matt. Thank you. I salute you. You know, that's why you got day ones. So, but all right, so I'm gonna play it now. You know, because I know y'all heard him. Y'all just couldn't hear me. So let's keep going.
Out the Mud Podcast.
Bro, I know this game to the T. And I studied with the great nigga, so he told me how to be the great nigga without having to say a word. You get these numbers every quarter. No threes, no free throws. You guaranteed these points. Now then you put that in, you say, I can get 81. If I factor this in, I got 15 in the first.
listen, for any ball player out there, they know his logic right there is good, but it's an attempt. You know, when you go out there and you have that mindset, it's gonna get destroyed. There's no way in the world you go into an NBA game, especially not not in the top 10, not like Victor Wembanyama, Tyrese Maxey, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic. You don't go in there and just run shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but I get what he's saying. Like it's more understandable if he would have said, Jokic should go in there and think like that. But when he puts himself in that place, he didn't even last in the NBA more than a couple of years. How are you the guy that could drop 81 every game? You had chances to drop 81 every game. It's not that easy. Defense comes into play, missed shots, nervousness, luck. So, but what he's trying to say is there's 12 minutes in each quarter. You only need to get 15 points in that 12 minutes to get 60. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to say if you approach it with that mentality, but he is literally saying that it's easy for him, and that's when he messes up. It would have been if he would have phrased it differently and said if Jordan would have looked at it this way, because even Jordan didn't drop. How you gonna say you could drop Kobe 80, on the regular, and Mike couldn't do it? Mike averaged 38 points per game, and that's the most insane points per game average we've ever seen since they put the 3-second in the paint rule. Before you could hang out in the paint forever, Wilt Chamberlain dropped 100, average 50 points a game, I believe. So, but he could hang out in the paint also forever. You wouldn't get a technical foul or I forget what, a 3-second violation. But when he makes the mistake and says that, you'll see.
That was easy. Wasn't doing nothing. It was easy. I was just.
What 81 you talking about?
Kobe's 81.
Boy, it's out the mud. We got Rashad McCown.
Kobe's 81. Kobe's 81.
Let me show you something that makes me furious every time I.
Yo, that deserves 10 rewinds. And it's to the point where, as confident as Rashad McCants is, you look at his face when they switch screens back to his face on the third time, and even you can see he looks stupid. He looks stupid. He looks like he feels stupid, like he's embarrassed. Like even he realizes what he said was so far-fetched. Tony Allen goes to cut to commercial or whatever the minute he says it. Watch.
I see it. This is a real tax return from someone making $284,972 per year in a W-2 income.
Okay, so that's the clip that went viral.
Kobe's 81.
This is hilarious.
Wasn't doing nothing. It was easy.
It was easy, right? It's coming. Tony Allen crushes it. It takes a certain kind of sense of humor too. Tony Allen is also burnt. And when I say burnt, it's a positive thing, because it's like saying the guy is super funny. It takes a really super funny person to hear that and react like on some like, all right, we're going to commercial. This dude is crazy. And it turned into a meme, let me hit play.
See, I was just.
What 81 you talking about?
Kobe's 81.
Boy, it's out the mud. We got Rashad McCown.
Kobe's 81. Kobe's 81.
Okay, so that's the clip that went viral, right? And everybody knows that clip by now, because you see that meme everywhere now, especially under a lot of basketball pages and basketball clips. When people feel like somebody is lying about something, they put that meme underneath the comments, man. So it's definitely something that's viral.
Let me hit my homie with a like real quick. Make sure I smashed that like. Oh, all right, I already did. Say no more. Big shout out to Self Talk.
And Rashad McCants, he doesn't like that clip. And the reason why I know that is because he spoke about it on Gil's Arena. He had took a shot at Tony Allen for the clip. At the time, I think Rashad McCants was going through his beef with Raymond Felton, right? And he was just saying like, he doesn't like how people use him for clicks and clickbait, because he
I mean, I think eventually people should leave him alone. It was almost like JaVale McGee, the whole on shacking the fool over and over again. But listen, you go up there, you on a public show, like you can't put yourself out there, and when people react to the things you said and try to tell you, yo, you know you sound crazy, right? That it shouldn't bother you. You know, you up there doing your thing. And not only that, I had covered when Gil got on Josiah, he was defending Josiah. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you up there, you know, you gotta take the good with the bad, man. You're in a place where a lot of people would want to be, especially people that are broke, and I mean extremely broke. So, like, you know, yeah, you gotta take the bad with the good with the bad.
He's the algorithm, and he was grouping Tony Allen and Zebo's podcast.
We moving. I'm out here 85% in the chat. Don't like that. But when I start getting group chats and sending me screenshot with saying, all right, see y'all all together. Y'all want to attack the God. All right, cool. But I've been nice for a long time. I've been trying to be corporate and professional on this platform, man. I don't never go at nobody personal. Because you lying. So if you're lying on my name just to get clicks on Out the Mud, y'all niggas ain't gonna reach that Kobe 81 numbers without me back on that show, my nigga. Y'all gotta start figuring out what the algorithm is. Put my name in the chat, Ocho. Come on, man, say my name. You know, Kenyon gonna knock your face off. Kenyon don't even play like that. So yeah.
He feeling himself. You know, that's what happened to Wemby. You know, can't talk about yourself so much like you're that amazing. You know what I'm saying? Even if you really truly believe it to be so, it's good to have confidence, but like, you know, actions speak louder than words. You know what I'm saying? They ain't throwing Kenyon Martin's name into it. You know, like he's his bodyguard or something. If I understood what he was just saying.
Yeah, it's cool to try to box a 6'9" nigga, but you come on, man. What we doing? I know none of these niggas like me, so I don't be looking for no friends. And when niggas don't respect you, you ain't gonna be no friends. But I'm unfuckwittable. You niggas not fucking with me.
But I do have the clip of Tony.
That's from Jay Electronica. Goes to Christopher Wallace. That's my shit. You know, Jay Electronica, when he finally made his album, a lot of people was disappointed. But let's not take away Exhibit C and Goes to Christopher Wallace. Two of the most epic songs ever made. You know, Jay Electronica is that dude. But you know, his album could have been better. We'll leave it at that.
Allen talking about the viral clip. They had an interview with All the Smoke, Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson podcast, and they had asked him about it. And I would like to highlight that clip, and then I'll show you guys what Rashad McCants said in response. So let's check out this clip right here. Then I'll come back with some more commentary. Here's the video. And if you can, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. That really does help support my YouTube channel, and I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Out the Mud has become a huge internet meme after the Rashad McCants shit.
Oh, shit. You know, these dudes, you know what's crazy, right? Tony Allen, you could tell he's got a good sense of humor, but Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, even though they like, you know, they be into it with dudes over like, you know, just like back and forth, like nothing serious, not real beef, just like verbal stuff over the internet. They're burnt too. They're funny, you know, and when they get together with Tony Allen and Zach Randolph is funny too. You know, it makes for good content for sure.
I'm glad we were here talking about this shit. Listen, you like to say what you told me yesterday, but I think if you do, people see how funny that shit really is. Like, bro, it was just it was, but let's watch it first.
Factor this in. I got 15 in the first. That was easy. It was easy. I was just.
What 81 you talking about?
Kobe's 81.
Boy, it's out the mud.
Kobe's 81.
All right, but she had some shit come with that.
A lot of backlash. Right, yeah, so a lot of backlash comes to that. Man, honestly, man, I ain't heard from Buddy ever since he came off the show, man. And I wanted, I was just bullshit, man. We outside, man. We doing our work too, man. I'm thinking this,
right.
And then from that, man, it's been, what's up, bro? Shit, on red. You feel?
But Rashad McCann says that that's not true. That he didn't ghost him. So it's one man's word against the other man's word. I really wouldn't know. It's 100% speculation. Just how the way everything unfolded, I might tend to believe Tony Allen a little bit. But you never know if he just said it. He might not have even have thought it was that deep. Maybe it was a joke to him saying he ghosted him, but it didn't really happen. But he knew it would make people laugh. Who knows?
He looking, don't even respond? Yeah. Cause no, I'm just saying, I kind of felt like, damn, bro, we ain't keep up. You know what I'm saying? And it I guess welcome to the podcast game. And that was all genuine, man. We had a good interview, man, but you can only handle so much.
That was classic.
You know what I'm saying?
That was classic.
You can only handle so much. So I'm like, man, I'll let you pop it, do your thing, but we talking about the beam, man.
Put it
Yeah, that's where it
come on.
Yeah, you can't be talking about Kobe like that. I'm gonna stop it right now. Yeah, man. Let me center it this way. It looks a little better that way. Let me take this off. All right, man. Listen, to all my people on Facebook that see this, I miss every single one of you guys, man. My people that I went to Grover Cleveland with, my people that I hung with in Ridgewood, Bushwick, the people I grew up with in Bedford-Stuyvesant. And, it ain't where I know life pulls people in every direction, but I'm just letting y'all know that in a perfect world, I would be able to communicate with y'all easily. We would all live, near each other so we could see each other and it wouldn't go so long without us talking or whatever. But I love you guys, and I love you guys. I love my Facebook, and I love the people that aren't on my Facebook. People got to stop being so hesitant to say, the word love, especially if they mean it. You know what I'm saying? And don't care what other people think. Big shout out to my Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, that was insane. And not only didn't I see our championship coming, I didn't see David from David and Goliath, Jalen the Pitbull Brunson leading us to the championship. Big shout out to Self Talk, Gills Arenas, the Young Turks, Rick Strom, and big shout out to y'all guys, man. Much love, real love. It's your man Spank Dog. I'm out of here. One.